I'm Sam. I tell stories that feel real because sometimes they are. Tonight, I'll take you back to those moments in school when silence wasn't safe and the unknown lurked just beyond the door. Let's dive into three chilling school lockdown stories that will leave you questioning every creak and shadow in the hallways. It wasn't the sirens that scared me. It was the knock at the door from someone who wasn't supposed to be there. It was just a normal Tuesday afternoon. The buzz of chatter filled the classroom as students shuffled back from lunch. The sun poured through the windows, and everything felt routine. Until it didn't. The intercom crackled to life, cutting through our conversations. The voice of our principal came on, strained and trembling. "This is not a drill. This is a lockdown. Secure your rooms immediately." At first, no one moved. We were so used to hearing about drills that it took a moment for the words to register. But our teacher wasn't waiting. She was already sliding a filing cabinet in front of the door, her face pale. "Get under your desks. Now." We obeyed, fear settling into the pit of my stomach. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. The classroom was silent, except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Then, faintly, we heard it, the sound of footsteps in the hallway. The footsteps were slow, deliberate, like whoever or whatever was out there wanted us to know they were coming. I tried to steady my breathing, but it felt like the air was thickening. Then, there was a knock. It wasn't frantic. It wasn't even loud. Just a slow, deliberate tapping on the door, and then a voice. "This is Officer Jenkins. It's safe to come out now." Relief washed over me for a moment, but something was off. Our teacher's face hardened, and she held a finger to her lips. "Stay quiet," she mouthed. I couldn't resist. Slowly, I peered through the slats of the blinds. That's when I saw him. Or rather, it wasn't a police officer. It was a man dressed in a filthy jacket with wild eyes. He was gripping a crowbar, tapping it against the doorframe like a predator toying with its prey. The knocking stopped, and for a moment, everything went still. Then came the sound of scraping metal, the crowbar dragging along the lockers outside. We didn't move, didn't breathe. Eventually, the sounds faded. Hours later, the real police arrived, their heavy boots pounding down the hallways. When they opened the door, they found marks on the wood, a series of deep gouges. The crowbar, abandoned near the exit, the man never found. The janitor's warning said, "Don't go near the basement. It's not safe." I didn't listen. Every school has its secrets, and ours was the basement. No one ever went down there, not even teachers. The only person who seemed to know anything about it was Mr. Whitaker, the janitor. He was an old man with a weathered face and a slow shuffle. One afternoon, I saw him near the basement door, his eyes darting nervously around the empty hallway. "Don't go near the basement," he said suddenly, his voice low and serious. "It's not safe down there." I laughed it off at the time, thinking it was just some old man trying to spook me. But that night, during a lockdown drill, I found myself standing right in front of the forbidden door. The door was ajar. I don't know why, but something compelled me to push it open. As I descended the creaky stairs, the air grew colder, and a faint metallic smell hit my nose. At first, it was just a storage area. Broken desks, old textbooks, and a faint hum from the boiler. Then I heard it. Whispers. I froze. The whispers were faint, unintelligible, but they weren't coming from the boiler room. They were coming from further down the hall, past the storage rack. He followed the sound, my heart pounding. At the end of the corridor, I saw it, a figure. It looked like a student, but its head hung at an unnatural angle. When it turned to face me, I nearly screamed. Its face wasn't human, hollow eyes and a mouth that seemed to stretch too wide. The whispers turned into a cacophony of voices, all screaming, "Get out!" I ran, tripping over boxes and debris until I burst back into the hallway. Mr. Whitaker was there, his face pale. "You shouldn't have gone down there," he said. "It doesn't like visitors." The next day, the basement was sealed off for repairs. No one ever mentioned it again. The Forgotten Room. There was a room in our school that no one was supposed to enter. I found out why. Our school had a legend about a classroom that had been shut down for years. The story went that a student vanished during a lockdown drill in the 1970 seconds, and the room was sealed afterward. During one lockdown, my friends and I dared each other to check it out. The lock was rusted, and it didn't take much effort to pry it open. The room was eerie, frozen in time. Desks were arranged neatly, but everything was coated in dust. It was as if the class had been abandoned mid-lesson. Then we noticed the chalkboard. "Help me." The air grew heavy, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over us. The lights flickered, and a faint giggle echoed through the room. In the corner, something moved. A girl in an old-fashioned school uniform stood there, her face hidden by her long, dark hair. Slowly, she looked up. Her eyes, or rather, the absence of them, stared straight at us. Black, hollow sockets where eyes should have been. We pounded on the door, screaming for help. When it finally opened, the principal was standing there, looking furious. "What are you doing in here?" he snapped. When we tried to explain, he cut us off. This room is off-limits for a reason. Later that night, I found an old yearbook. On the last page was a memorial for a girl who had vanished in 1974. Her face, the same one we saw in that room. True schools are supposed to be places of safety and learning, but some hold secrets that refuse to stay buried. Sleep well tonight, if you can.